Om Sahanam Bhavatu Sahanam Bhanatu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we analyzed last time how the various uh, pitfalls of happiness can belie this hope that we are going to find it somewhere outside. When we analyze it like this, we say there are 10 moving parts to the machinery of happiness. There is so little chance of getting any happiness out there, and all this we say, then people say, yes, that is correct. Let us leave everything. There is no happiness in the external world. Let us leave this whole thing. Let us all just go and retire to Vedanta University, as if that's a retirement home. Vedanta University is preparing people to go out into the world, not to leave the world. So there's this great inclination, especially urbanites. All of us who live in urban centers, for us it's very glamorous, right? Go to the village and there's all trees there and things like that. We're so like, oh, this is really cool. Very glamorous, it seems to us. Very exotic. Yeah. So why did you go there? Jayashree goes every week to the university plot. Anyone who thinks it's very glamorous, please accompany her, and you will understand uh, just how glamorous the whole thing is. So there is this inclination in all of us that let's get away from all this. Anyway, it's not going to give me happiness. I have never got any happiness, and it's never going to give me happiness. Now let's just get away. But that doesn't work either, unfortunately. If it was so easy, then why not? Why not we just all go, right? We are all get together. We make ourselves a beautiful heaven on earth. We create a place. And we are all like minded people. We all go, we live together, and we'll all live happily ever after together. Won't work, unfortunately. Now, how do you know? We would love to live like that. I have lived like I have lived for 9 years like that. Okay, so maybe that's one person's experience. You don't have to go by it, but you are most welcome to try it for yourself and see what happens. But a philosopher does not learn like a philosopher learns before, not after the action. So now let us understand what we are trying to do. If you go rush into the world in the hope of happiness, not available. You rush away from the world in the hope of happiness, again, not available. Now, what to do? Let us see if this book is giving us any indication, or it's only telling us that यहाँ भी नहीं और वहां भी नहीं, त्रिशंकु बना के रख लिया. Meaning neither here nor there. Trishanku, Ganga, Joyce, Mari. I don't know if you all are familiar with Trishanku. Trishanku is a chap who got stuck between heaven and earth. He couldn't go to heaven, he couldn't come back to earth. Now, the long, elaborate story. He wanted to ascend to heaven in his mortal body, long, elaborate story because they're all long, elaborate stories. But the moral of the story at the end is that he can neither go to heaven nor come back to earth. So we become like that. We can't go out into the world in the hope of happiness. We cannot retreat from the world in the hope of happiness. Now we are stuck in between somewhere. Let us see now if we get any answer. Too many questions and very few answers in philosophy. That's the whole problem. Let us continue, Mahesh. So let us recap. We initially prospect for happiness somewhere out there in a movie or music, a party or power, a relationship, or multiple relationships, sex or security, holidays or meals. So many methods we have of trying to get happiness. We do this instinctively, but it's not a dependable method. These objects often pale on us or leave us. It is either painful separation or numbing boredom. Okay, this we've covered. This is only recap. Everyone's on the same page as far as this is concerned, right? For those who are joining us for the first time, you may like to read the previous portion. But now we'll go forward. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask, of course. Thus,
Just what page is it, Janki ji?
what page is it?
11.
Okay, thank you.
11, no, 15. Which version are you seeing? Electronic or? Okay, then 15.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so chasing the world didn't bring it. Then what? On the other hand, if we do not find happiness by leaving the pursuit either. Thus, happiness cannot be gained by either acquisition or resignation. So, okay, this much is clear. I hope this much, we are building a train of thought. So I hope up to here is clear that you cannot get it by indulgence, you cannot get it by abstinence. Now, if you think about this, and if you agree with both these ideas, if you don't agree with any of these ideas, then we can discuss them. But if you agree with these ideas that you cannot get it by indulgence or abstinence, then logically speaking, there has to be something else, right? Because in these two conditions, you're not getting it. So then what is the third condition? So logically, there has to be another factor, another causal relationship. If you cannot predict that by doing X, I'm going to get happiness, whether that X is abstinence or indulgence, that means neither abstinence nor indulgence is the cause of the happiness. So there is another causal relationship, and that has to be learned. But even this sentence is not quite correct, because in some sense it is inherent in all of us. So it seems like there's a third thing that we need to learn about, which is true, but only partially true. Because in some sense it's inherent in us as well. We must train ourselves back into that state. Where do we look? Not in the outer world. The happiness habit. Right? So what did we cover so far? Not outside, not in the outside world, not running away from it. Then what? There has to be another causal relationship. Because
Excuse me, Janki ji. What is meant here by train ourselves back into that state? What state is
the state of happiness?
meant?
The state of happiness is inherent in us. Okay, so we don't have to make a movement either going towards something or away from something, because happiness is your own state.
All right,
So,
thank you.
The happiness habit. Happiness is not something that we eke out of a harsh world. Most of us think that somehow we have to eke it out of a very harsh world. We live under very harsh conditions, very difficult conditions. And somehow we must be happy in these harsh conditions. We have to somehow get some happiness out of it. That's not really true. It is not something to be acquired. Like health, it is our natural inherent state. Our lifestyle preserves or destroys it. The possibility of immense sorrow is always with us. But then, so is the potential of eternal happiness. At any point, it is quite possible to be miserable. But equally so, at any point, it is quite possible to find eternal happiness. This is something which is always with us. Even Wordsworth has indicated this. He says, heaven lies about us in our infancy. Shades of the prison house begin to close upon the growing boy. The child is naturally happy, right? Heaven lies about us in our infancy. The child has no negative thoughts, is happy with itself. You leave the child alone, it will play with its own fingers and its own toes. It's happy with life. Shades of the prison house begin to close upon the growing boy. And as you keep growing up, somehow that early innocence, that early happiness, that joy seems to close. We seem to be caught in some kind of prison as we grow up. Everyone is born happy. What happens when we grow up? We start locating happiness somewhere. First, in the safety of mommy being around, then of friends being around, and then replicating that model endlessly with partners, houses, careers, et al. But it is not possible to chase something or avoid something and thereby find happiness. Happiness is the byproduct of sensible living. Happiness is the byproduct of sensible living. So the question, how to be happy, amounts to the question, how to live sensibly. If one determinedly sets off in the search of happiness, there is nothing to be found. The chase is itself the problem. However, when one incorporates certain principles into one's life, then, hey presto, one's state of mind becomes naturally peaceful. It is magic. We go chasing something. We don't realize that it is the chase itself that is the problem. That's not how it can be done. When we start understanding certain facts, suddenly you experience peace. It's like magic. And then it's like, what was I all worked up about? It becomes difficult to remember what were you worked up about. Unmitigated joy is the outcome of certain life habits. We need to learn these best practices. See, in every other thing, there are best practices, right? Every other thing. And we all learn them before we do those things. There are best practices on accounts, there are best practices in investments, there are best practices in cooking, there are best practices in organization, in even folding clothes. And we learn them. It doesn't occur to us that there are best practices in living. As the Bhagavad Gita says in chapter 18, verse 37, happiness is the blessing of the clarity of one's intellect. It's the way we go to saints and ask for their blessings, no? It's the blessing of the clarity of one's intellect. That is knowledge. It cannot be equated to sense contact. Circumstances and situations can't be sense contact. What is sense contact? The text uses the term sense contact. So we think of it as some very petty thing, like I ate something and I drank something. But actually, it's all your circumstances and situations. Can't be equated with that. But with self-development, with self-purification. Happiness then is a habit, not an acquisition. It is not the gaining of anything in particular, except perhaps the knowledge of living. Happiness is a lifestyle. It is applied across every aspect of life. And like any habit, it is built one day at a time. It is achieved with painstaking work and discipline. Okay, here's why we fail. Because this line doesn't work for us at all. This is a worse line. It is achieved with painstaking work and discipline. Nobody's interested in this bit. Okay, we say, come to the retreat, you will live a disciplined lifestyle. People are, yeah, really disciplined lifestyle. Next year I'll come. Arey Baba. It is achieved with painstaking work and discipline. It may not mean working harder for success, or learning how to dress well, or acquiring the right friends, or gaining health or relationships, or any of the things we arduously aspire for. Nor is it the task of giving it all up. The greater hard work lies in a different direction, and it begins with understanding the facts of life, some ground reality. Okay, so does anyone have anything to discuss on this issue? Or are we all fine?
So, as you said, and then there is some ground reality. So, is that we're going to discuss further in the book that what ground realities you're talking about?
I can't quite hear you, Santa.
Okay. So, in the last sentence, when it said some ground reality, so is it going to be further discussed in the book? What ground realities are we talking
Yes.
about?
Yes. Anvesh?
Oh, Hari Janki ji. So the thing that appeal, I mean, after reading Vedanta and after reading this paragraph that we just went through, it feels as if, I mean, please correct, please help me with this doubt, is that we look at the happiness of a sattvic mind or enlightenment, let's say, as a particular general joy. So that's our target, because the way it comes across to me is that you're seeking sense pleasures and you're getting one thing after the other, and you are trying to enjoy that. But instead, you should have a general overall happiness, right? And so you don't have to run after these small things. But when you compare the sattvic or just general joy versus like a specific pleasure, let's say you have this strawberry shortcake, really like, so that is something that you really love. It gives you a specific sensation and you enjoy a specific thing. So, and then you compare it with this vast amount of joy and happiness, and you say, okay, well, I don't want this. I'm going for the big thing, right? But still, that big thing cannot be compared to that small thing, right? So that's where the mind gets strict. It's like, okay, well, if I get all that general joy, and we've all experienced a little bit of it here and there, then I will miss out on that. So why should I do this? Right? You see my question?
Yes, many people feel that, oh my God, I'm going to lose something. And also that we have to give up the strawberry shortcake. You don't have to give up the strawberry shortcake. You can have the strawberry shortcake as well as have the general happiness. Why have you to choose? Why do we have the either or mentality? What's wrong with strawberry shortcake? When we come to your house and wish, I hope you'll give us all a strawberry shortcake too. So you don't have to choose. When we went to France, Ganga gave us so many wonderful cheeses. So we are all looking forward. We'll go again to France and eat her all those wonderful cheeses which she gave us. Why? You don't have to choose. A happy person is happy all the time. And in fact, a happy person can enjoy things a lot more, even objects of the world. Because imagine if you're all agitated, how are you going to enjoy that strawberry shortcake? You've eaten it before you realized it's on your tongue. Now, many people do not enjoy eating. They don't know what that means. There's no pleasure of eating. The food can give you pleasure only as long as it's on your tongue, but it doesn't last on your tongue long enough for you to recognize what is happening. Might as well have just swallowed that thing, as a juice. Put all the meal into a mixer and grind the whole thing up and drink it. I don't really taste any of the food. In fact, there's a very nice article by who I'm trying to remember. It's there in literary criticism. His name is escaping me at the moment. He says art exists to make you feel the hardness of the stone. Don't feel it anymore. It exists to make you feel the breeze ruffling through your hair. When we associate with higher values, suddenly you experience more. So you don't have to leave it at all for any reason. But you'll say, no, but I always hear you talking about leaving it. Leaving it means leaving the overemphasis we put on it, changing our focus of attention. If you make the strawberry shortcake the focus of your attention, then that is very sad. But if the focus of your attention, you're doing something great and noble in life, and somebody gives you a strawberry shortcake, or you go to the store and you buy one for yourself, you will enjoy it a lot more. So there's no choice like that. It's just like, don't give it black market value.
That's what it becomes, right? And because it becomes into some sort of indulgence, or then you feel guilty, like, why am I eating more? I have to maintain my weight, all these kind of things, right? So that's where the problem lies. Is, I mean, it feels as if the messaging is, we have to get rid of, like, in Indriyani, you have to get under control, like in the Gita. That is your main, I mean, that is the main problem. So we have to completely let go of those things and then just go towards. So that's the way it comes across. And what you're saying, it makes sense to me, but I think it becomes, that's the challenging part, is now we have to discipline ourselves. We have to do this, we have to do that, and we have to let go of this, right? So that's I think that's the main challenge.
If
for
you're
most of us.
claiming that Vedanta, that Bhagavad Gita says it, if you say that Bhagavad Gita says that you have to give up all these objects, then the person who gave out the Bhagavad Gita, what did he do?
Right.
Either you say he's a hypocrite, apne ghar mein jo chahe karo, and then come out and give big gyan. Either you say that, or you say that's obviously not what he meant. You have to take one of these two stances. If you think he's the Lord, then I don't think you will accept that he's being hypocritical. In which case, he has never told you to give anything up. Where does he say that? Where did he say that? Means in which context is he saying that, and what in his life is showing us that that's how we should behave? Now, that doesn't mean we all try to have 16,000 spouses. It's only exaggerated to make us understand that that's not what he's saying. What he's talking about is fix your attention on the higher aspects and enjoy. I mean, all these things that happen, enjoy every bit of it. Enjoy the children, enjoy the spouse, enjoy the home, enjoy the breeze, enjoy everything. But your life's focus has to be something else.
Thank you.
Mommy.
Thank you.
An art exists that one may recover the sensation of life. It exists to make one feel things, to make the stone stony. Yes. Thank you, Momita. Art is a technique. Where did you get it from? Victor School.
Google.
Google. But how did you find that this was the one I am referring to? That is what I don't understand.
You quoted him quite well. I mean,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
All right. Okay, the few words I used helped. So it's a very nice piece that he has written in criticism, where he talks about this thing. But can you feel it? And he talks about how Tolstoy does this in his work, and he makes us understand how stupidly we behave. Because Kolstomer is a horse, and he tells the story from the perspective of Kolstomer. Like a horse is looking at human beings and wondering why they are functioning like this. He says it's very strange. Some human beings say, "This is mine." But they never go there, they never enjoy it. Somebody says, "This horse is mine." He says, "I don't understand what these humans mean by this is mine." He doesn't ride it, he doesn't feed it, he doesn't do anything with it, but he puts his tappa. This is mine. So it's very interesting that talks about how you begin to see things from a different perspective. Whether it is enjoyment or seeing absurdity or just see things very differently. Right. So whatever we got, it's not abstinence, it's not indulgence. What is it? It is a habit. What is that habit? It's sensible living. Where does sensible living come from?
Intellect.
What?
Intellect, using your intellect.
Discipline.
From knowing the facts of life, from intellect, from discipline, from knowing the facts. What is discipline? When you live according to the facts of life, that is discipline. And you don't live according to the facts, that is indiscipline. So simple. So,
Namaste, Janaki ji. Can I just make a comment?
go ahead.
This is
Rashmi.
Rashmi. I just want, this is not, I guess, quite a direct reply to what Anvesh was saying, but I thought, this part of the book, so a few of us in Augusta, including Samta and myself, were just having a discussion on the complete works of Swami Vivekananda's first book. So in that, and I'll post this in the chat, these 2 pages kind of talk about why we should not be just complacent with how things are as they are, right? So why should we go for the beyond? Like if all these small temporary things are giving us happiness, I mean, why should we not just be satisfied with this, right? So I'll post it in the thing because I can't say it as eloquently as Swami Vivekananda has put it.
No,
But
please don't post anything. As it is, it's difficult for people to concentrate.
Okay,
in class.
sure.
Let's not have more distraction.
Sure.
The point Anvesh was making is that not why should I have the higher? He's saying the lower and the higher, that is contradictions, and we have to leave the lower. So the point is not that we have to leave the lower in that sense. Leaving the lower only means change of focus.
Okay.
So his point was slightly different. Okay, so now let's continue. Right, where now this is good so far. Then let's go to dependent and independent happiness.
Ma'am, before you continue, this is Taruna. You said when you live according to the facts of life, that is discipline. Can you elaborate this point?
Okay, who will elaborate this point? Come on, somebody in class. Who will be advocate for this point?
One discipline again will be the morning studies. So,
yeah, she's not asking what is the discipline. She's asking, you said that if we knew the facts, we would be disciplined. How is that? Correct, Taruna?
yes.
Okay.
I mean, going outside the purview of the book, I think it is the facts are all there in Vedanta treatise or doing the 3 yogas. It's all about living according to the facts of life. I don't know. It's not mentioning the book. It's going outside the scope of the book, but I'm just saying.
What? But wait, Taruna has a question. What is the use of just saying? You answer her question. Her point is, if you know the facts of life, then you will live a disciplined life. So explain, tell her how if you knew the facts, or you say, yes, Taruna, you're right, but you must address what she is saying.
So I think just in an example, like if you are walking in a dark room and you have a very vision, very dim light, you'll be bumping into things. But I think when you know facts of the life, if you have more light, your way of looking at things is broader, then you will be not bumping into things and you'll live better. I don't know if that makes sense. Is what
Yes,
it probably means.
Samta, very good example from Vedanta Treatise, great example. It's an illustration explaining that. There are 2 ways we can explain. We can explain through an illustration or we can explain through logic. Prashant Nair has explained through logic. So right, Samta, good job. And Prashant, good job. He has done it through logic. So how does knowing facts make you disciplined? Because knowing facts means that you know causal relationships. If you've understood what is the cause, you will naturally do that thing.
You often cite as an example if we have aging parents and we do not take an insurance for them, then we might fall into a kind of chaos because they can get sick and we haven't thought before of taking care of that matter. We had left it. And so that's a fact of life, that if we take care of it, we can release ourselves from stress, from pain, I mean, from many, and so life can go smoothly. I always think of your examples on financial also, and I find them very interesting. When you say, if you want to do more Vedanta or do more, I don't know, something that you like, and you say, I don't have time because I have to work, then you spend less money, because we are always spending sometimes things on unusual things. And so you can put this money, let's say, for your rent and all your needs, and then you can go into things you like without having the stress of, oh, but I have to work more, I'm tired, and so on. So I find your examples on financial issues very interesting because they appeal to us, because we're always kind of juggling with this matter, you know? So it sets facts of life in a very practical way that speaks to every one of us, you know, whether you have money or you don't have money, it's not the issue. The issue is how to look at it, how to deal with it. And these are parts of facts of life, because they are like a brake. When a car, you have a brake, you know, you, in French, this, I mean, it prevents you. It prevents you from going ahead and enjoying and thinking clearly and so many things if you don't set these facts of life from the beginning.
Yes.
So that's what
Thank you, Ganga. So, Taruna, you got 1 illustration, you got 1 logic, and you got 1 example. Good job, class. It's very nice when the class answers properly, because then I can easily retire. I can go to the forest and live. Very nice. Okay, are you satisfied, Taruna?
Yes, thank you.
Right. Knowing the facts of life makes us disciplined. You just figure this out. And why would you do anything which was not in accordance with those facts? Momita, we can also say the reverse, that it is that indiscipline comes from ignorance. Yes, we can also say that. If you were not so ignorant, you would not be so indisciplined. Correct. You can say that. Right. So I think you all have got the meaning, so we can go ahead. This is cool. If everybody gets everything, nice. For the person taking the class, just relax and enjoy life. You all handle your own affairs. I can go on a holiday. Okay, come on, let us go to the next one. We have recklessly constructed a dubious narrative. Constructed a narrative. It's a story we tell ourselves. We don't get it that we are talking rubbish. We have constructed that story, and we have constructed that story recklessly. It's not like it's based on some reasoning or some recklessly. Make some kind of dubious narrative. Well, like, on what is this thing based? Nothing. Just made it up. It lies in the dangerous untruths we tell ourselves. Fabrications. They're just fabrications. And what are these fabrications? Fabrications such as, I like this. I don't like this. This is horrible. That is awesome. I can't live without this. Fabrications of my own imagination. We harbor such indiscriminate thoughts. Consequently, so once we make all these fabrications in our own minds, then what happens? We want things in a particular way. We want family and friends to be just so. The weather to be of a particular kind. The government in a certain mode. Do you realize what fabrications go on in our life? I'm dictating how the weather should be. Am I insane? I want family and friends to be in a particular way. Am I insane? I will tell how the government will run. Am I insane? Fabrications. Smita and Suraj. I am new to this wonderful discussion. Thank you, Smita and Suresh. Can you tell me what book we are discussing? Okay. Yeah, this is a book. Can you see? Pretty book, na?
Thank you. Yes.
How did you come to the class? I'm assuming you're Smita, but how did you come to the class if you didn't know what this class was about?
Oh, Samantha introduced me to this yesterday when we had our discussion
Oh.
in Reshmi's
Yeah.
house. So,
Okay, Samta.
yeah.
Okay. So you're
And
also in Alberta.
no, I am in Augusta, Georgia.
Augusta, sorry, Augusta. Sorry.
Yes.
Augusta. I'm slowly learning the geography of US. It's taking me some time. But anyway, I must admit it's better than learning the geography of France, because in France I couldn't even pronounce the names. At least now I'm able to pronounce these names. Poor Ganga was struggling to understand which place I'm referring to. Okay, so welcome to the class, Smita. If you have any question, please feel free to ask.
Thank you.
All right, so let's go. So can you imagine, you just randomly say that it should be like this? Hello? What is that even supposed to mean? It should be like this? How? How do you think that's going to happen? Reckless construction of a dubious narrative. You create some story in your head, then you want the world to be like that. How can he behave like this? He already has behaved like this. So the question, how can he behave like this, cannot be asked because he has behaved, right? So if it has happened, that's what he's does. How can he behave? How can you ask this question? That is the bigger question. We have a self-created ocean of likes and dislikes. This arbitrary creation wrecks our happiness. it swiftly generates a mental tsunami that washes away the edifice of happiness. Do you need an explanation for this? We have all experienced this, right? It swiftly generates a mental tsunami after which there is no peace in our life. It could be generated out of literally anything. It doesn't have to be something massive happening. Some tsunami is going on in my mind for reasons best known to my mind, and I am struggling with. When we meet something we like, we feel happy. Encountering what we dislike is horrendous. It becomes a constant endeavor to clutch at what we like and evade what we dislike. So this explains why we are creating these fabrications. You contact something the first time and it seems nice. Now what? Now you say, if I have this thing, I'm going to be so happy, and then you just do everything to get it. Hold it. When you contact something according to your likes, yeah, you will feel nice. But just by getting more of it, you're not going to get the infinite happiness. So we have to train our mind to understand. So this is what we do on small levels. You like something, you go towards it. You don't like something, go away from it. You're constantly doing this until before you know it, it becomes an ocean. That I want all these things and I don't want all these things. This, in short, is what we call the pursuit of happiness. That I should be allowed to do what I like, and I should be allowed to not do what I don't like. Now, every parent in the class will understand that the child feels like this, and we as parents do everything to avoid this from happening. But we don't get it that that's how we behave. And the child is behaving like that because that's how we behave. This, in short, is what we call the pursuit of happiness. To be able to pursue our likes and dislikes at will is considered freedom. Regimes that inhibit one from doing so are considered totalitarian regimes, most irksome to right-thinking individuals. So, pun on right thinking. I mean, obviously, nobody should tell us what we should do and what we shouldn't do. That is correct. But then neither should our mind do that. Societies that inhibit people from this pursuit are called conservative or orthodox. They are the anathema of youth. Youth seeks liberty. Right? So we want to do what we like and we don't want to do what we don't like, and we don't want anyone's interference on that. Up to that point, it's correct that nobody should interfere in somebody else's life. But what we don't, and they all go up, we need our liberty, we need our freedom. Freedom to do what? You, of course, must have your liberty. You, of course, must have your freedom. But it is the freedom to educate yourself and find what is the right thing to do. Not simply do what you feel like. Some people seek sensual pleasures, some emotional delights, some intellectual satisfactions. Each one considers it his right to be able to pursue the thing he chooses. And so it is. No debate there. However, as a formula for happiness, it presents a lacuna. Right? So Vedanta is completely, completely in harmony with the thought that it is every man's right, every woman's right to choose for himself or herself what he or she wishes to pursue. This is no debate. It's not debatable. Everybody is free to make that choice. However, as a formula for happiness, it presents a lacuna. And what is the lacuna?
This happiness is finite. It will go away.
what's the lacuna in the idea that you are free to choose whatever you want?
We
We
are
don't
still
always
dictated
get.
by our mind.
You are free to choose what you want is always on the assumption that you have basic understanding of causal relationships. If you do not have a basic understanding of causal relationships, you're still free to choose what you want, but the choices you make will land you in trouble. Like, suppose I have 100 rupees. That's my money. I'm free to do with it whatever I want. Now, if I don't understand how to handle it, then at the end of the day, I will find myself with no money. If I know how to handle it, I will find my 100 rupees has become 200. That is the tragedy that's happening in India currently. As you know, we are on a trajectory, we are going up. The prices of land are like great, they're shooting up. The farmers have suddenly figured out that it is much more profitable for them to sell the land and get these fabulous prices than till the land, how much work they have to do, and then at the end they'll get some little money. So they are on a rampage, especially in places that are developing, like Alibag, or it's become very elitist for Mumbaikars to go to Alibag and have a place there and all, and it's like a golden handshake for those villagers. They are getting fabulous prices for that, and they get the money for the first time in their life. Okay, from poverty, they can now walk into the Mercedes showroom and buy two. That's how much money they're getting, and they're loving it. They're like, this is living, man. They buy yachts, they buy Mercs, they buy like literally everything they can set their eye on. And then the money is over. And they're back to the state of poverty they were originally in. So yes, everyone is free to do with their things whatever they want. And nobody has the right to interfere. But that's the assumption that you're an adult human being. Now, what does it mean to be adult human being? Are any of us adult human beings? We are adult human beings only to the extent that we understand that there is something in this world called
Cause and effect.
very good, Bharat. One adult we have in this class. Cause and effect. This is a terrible, terrible thing that we have in this world. Cause and effect. And it's called karma. And people say, oh my God, some terrible law of karma. Karma means action. Action means cause. If you perform a cause, there will be an effect. There's no superstition involved. Do you believe in the law of karma? Wait. Do you believe in gravity? What is that supposed to mean? We use Sanskrit words and make it sound like there's something esoteric going on. Cause and effect. You know something, if you know the cause, you will be able to get the effect you want. You don't know the cause, you simply won't get it. So every one of us is free to make the choices we want. But the assumption in that always is that we are adult human beings. Adult human beings are those who can appreciate what happened.
Cause and effect.
Cause and effect.
Cause and effect.
Right. Cause and effect. It's a terrible, terrible thing. It's so terrible that if you have a gun in your hand and you pull the trigger, once you pull that trigger, you can pray to all the gods of the universe that bullet will strike its target. And all your praying will not change its direction. The moving finger had writ Khalil Gibran says, the moving finger, it writes. And then not all your tears can wipe out one line. If you have put the cause into action, if the cause has started, the effect has to come. You put that cause, and the effect will come. You planted the mango seed. What are you expecting from it? Coconuts? Ain't happening. You can plant your mango seed and pray for the rest of your life. You will always get coconuts. No, but I'm worshipping at Tirupati Balaji. He's very powerful. I'm worshipping at Vaishno Devi. Very powerful. I'm worshipping at the Vatican itself, at the Mecca, at the Medina. My wishes will be fulfilled. First, you go to school and educate yourself, then talk. Now, the moving finger, writ. What is this moving finger? The actions we are doing. They have written. They've already written it. Once we get that, we get this, we become adult human beings. We haven't realized the self. We haven't done anything great. We've only become adult human beings. इतना तो कर ले हम लोग. There's cause and effect. No, but I think it'll happen. Be positive. Then keep being positive. I have put the water in the fridge and now it's going to boil anytime and we can make tea. Be positive. Of course it will happen. But the water's growing cold. Sometimes that happens, gets a little cold before it gets hot. Okay. Fine. What can I say? Great. I'm going to the neighbor's house to have tea. Ain't getting no tea here. No. You must be positive. Have patience. You must have endurance. All this is true only if what happened? Only if
You put in the cause.
causation is known. What did you say, Deepraj?
The cause is there.
The causation is known. You put it in the fridge and expect to have tea. You can have iced tea, but you cannot have chai. It won't happen. Not all your prayers, not all your positive thinking, not all your whatever else we all try to use. Ain't happening. Mahesh, so there's no room for miracles. Mahesh, if you would like to keep room for miracles, please do. But if you call me over for tea, I would prefer if you put the water on the gas. For your own tea, you please try the miracle route. Okay? All right. So far, so good. Let's go to the next part. So youth wants liberty. Isn't it? Of course, must have it. But please get your causation right before you want that. However, as a formula for happiness, it presents a lacuna. What is the it which presents a lacuna?
Same thing, causation.
No, what is the it? You can't say causation presents a lacuna. What's the it?
The choice we have, the possibility to make a choice.
Yes, our right to make the choice. It is our right to make the choice. But as a formula for happiness, there is a lacuna. There's a lacuna means it's not the whole story. Of course, we have the right to choose whatever we want. But it is the assumption is that we are adults, that we understand causation. Even if one is free to pursue anything of one's choice, either lofty or ignoble, one cannot always attain what one wants. Sandeep. What are you saying, Sandeep? Let me see. Sandeep. Sandeep, new name? Where are you, Sandeep? I don't think I can see you. Sandeep, old Sandeep, new Sandeep. For simple domains like making tea, cause and effect are simple enough. Yeah, we always give an example which is comprehensible, right? But as complexity increases, it's very hard, maybe impossible to determine causation. Yes, that is also true. An obvious example domain would be the stock market, just an example to show complexity. Correct, you're right, Sandeep. So, once you've understood this, what will happen? You're right, what you're saying is correct. So, once you understand this, what will happen?
You'll be mentally prepared for the good or bad outcome and not be affected by it.
Yes, in his case, what will happen? He's given an example. Stock market, I can't predict. So what will happen if you understood that?
Detachment.
If you want to have an X amount of money in the next 6 months, you're not going to try that stunt in the stock market, right? Because it is not predictable. So if you're correct, Prashant. So if at all I have understood, whatever I have understood, I'm still working within causation. If I understand this is not a predictable thing, I will not put all my eggs in that basket because it's not predictable. Another example of what's not predictable.
Weather.
Okay.
I was thinking about the outcome of a disease. If you get a diagnosis, it might not be predictable what will be the outcome and which therapy to choose.
That's correct. So you know that what you're so you approach it like that. That's what gives you humility. That is why they say knowledgeable people are humble, because they have understood in this condition it is not possible. But the most common example, which I'm sure all of you all will understand, we are talking about what is not predictable. It's not predictable how your marriage is going to go, isn't it? So proceed cautiously. Don't start with, oh my God, this is the love of my life. Chill, take it easy. Let's go cautiously. Let's figure this thing out. Let's do the best we can. Let's figure out some basic principles by which I'm able to deal with this whole story, because you've got it. That loving a person and being married to a person are going to be very different experiences. You've got it. So you will conduct yourself properly. Okay, Sandeep, are you fine? Every domain in life is highly complex. That's not true, Sandeep. Okay, no problem, Sandeep. But every domain is not complex. You know, every Friday at 7 o'clock, happiness guarantee class will happen. It's not complex. Every domain cannot be complex. There are some complex domains, and as we take more and more correct decisions in life, we find that complexity is reducing. But we have to take right decisions at every stage. Right, then sure. Are you okay, Sandeep? Right, so Anvesh, you have a question? If it's a quick one, we'll take it because class time is over.
Well, I think you answered it. It was mainly about like becoming overcautious and just not engaging in the world. Then,
Then you know what will
the other
happen by
side.
becoming overcautious. I mean, everybody knows, right? You figure that there's something you have to do, whether you know the thing or not. You can't say, I will wait to find out whether my marriage is going to be successful before I get married. You can't. You have to take a leap at some time. You figure these things out as you go along. Right. So Bharat, what is the announcement? Open house